I'm here. A little sniffly today. A little extra sniffly on my nose, which is kind of annoying. Hopefully I'm not getting sick. It's just some allergic reaction. But yeah, different kind of development today. I guess technically it's still game dev. But I've promised my friend group that I will be DMing, because they're as well, so their birthday's coming up, then they're a fan of One Piece. I thought it would be cool to have like a D&D slash like tabletop RPG game themed around One Piece, and as a game dev I thought it would be fun to make one. So I figured I'll create a one-shot, you know? But then, like, I thought I had plenty of time because I promised this like a month ago. And as the time went, yeah, things kind of got ahead of itself. So today, I'll be planning some of those things. Of course, handy dandy. I've already prompted, you know, some Gen AI stuff, toolings to help me get started a little bit. And I'm going to be reviewing some of them, but because I myself is not exactly a One Piece watcher, I haven't really watched too many episodes. So I don't really know the lores that well, so I needed to rely on some other tools to get those information in. Hey Void. Hi Void, thanks for stopping by. It's holiday season over here in US. Yeah, I got the sniffles. I don't know. I was fine until this morning. Hey Celine. Celine says, hello, I'm back and ready to lurk again, Lamau. We love lurkers out here. I wish I wasn't sniffly. That would be a great thing to have. I was just going through items that are shoppable and try to not overwhelm. So this is still game design, I think, because I like the idea of showing the shop and showing what things are, like what things cost, and then have people be like excited about maybe going for certain items. So I'm gonna go through that. Also, there's some campaign plans I need to do. I know you're lurking, Celine, but you might be interested in what we're talking about today. I'm making One Piece themed tabletop RPG one shot for my group. And I need to do some research on One Piece itself, because, you know, some of the mechanics and stuff like that. I want to be still, like, I don't want to be too loosely inspired. I still want to be kind of tight. But also story, gameplay, all those things probably will be interesting to talk about. Basically, basic Dungeons and Dragon type of situation. I'm going to look through the shop later. I want to first brainstorm kind of player experience, and then maybe drill down onto the mechanics. I definitely want... So player experience that I want, though, beats... aka beats, right? I definitely want Voice says I haven't watched One Piece. Yeah, no, it's okay. It's basically some pirate stuff where most of the world is in the sea world. I want players to... So the first thing is starting town, which I think ChatGPT suggested that we start in this location called if I remember correctly. It's like a pretty calm sea. Well, it doesn't matter. So I want players to introduce the reason they're at the starting town. premise is that everyone is looking for One Piece. And then they have to, like, this is locked in. They have to explain why they want it. Instead of being like, do you want to do something else? To tightly scope this. Why do the characters want One Piece? I don't know if that should be the goal, I guess. Want to be pirates. How about that? What are they looking for? Why do they need a job? Maybe they don't even start as pirates. Maybe that's something. I was thinking that people would come here for a job. They're looking for a thing. And they happen to be in a group. They have to work together. They land on the same job. So something that's locked in is that PCs, player characters, they are starting as a group for the first time for a specific task. And that task may be either going for a bounty. They're all looking for the same bounty, so they decided to team up because bounty is really hard to get. Or they were given some sort of like mercenary job. That's another thing that we could think about. Whatever the goal is, I really want this like final reward / MacGuffin to be some sort of devil's fruit, which is canonically in One Piece world is a special fruit that gives the consumer a special power. Where voice says bounty. Yeah, I do think that bounty feels a little bit more fitted. So they're going for a bounty. And then we can give the name whatever it is. And I think it would be cool if the bounty was placed because the pirate stole something. Now, this reason can be hidden. And basically, the mission is to capture or recover. Should it be captured, dead or alive, bounty? But what about what he has done, like the stolen fruit or whatever? Because I want that to be a thing. Because Devil's Fruit is rare, actually, in One Piece world, from what I understand, and it's very special, and it gives special power. So I want it to be like, at the end of the campaign, they have to decide as a group to, like, what to do with the Devil's Fruit. And then, like... voice says alive. I think that's a player decision. Dead or alive usually is how the bounty system goes, right? One Piece, dead or alive poster. Like this is like well-known poster thing. And there's a group called Marines by the World Organization that places these bounties on. So we'll do that. Some sort of bounty. I really want them to have general interaction of town, preview of, or shop, and then information gathering. Well, shop / information gathering. But over here, important thing is like preview things that players might want to get, like building hope of like, oh my god, that's so cool, I want to have that type of feeling. And then some sort of information gathering to start into a direction. I definitely want some sort of dungeon-esque thing, dungeon location, because I don't want it to be just like you go to a location, you intercept, and then it's like there's some dungeon location they need to explore. So like explorable dungeon type, and then have a final combat. And then the in between combat could happen somewhere in between. Is like a minor combat, conflict, and then we want some sort of like preview because we want to give a hint about the final combat, right? Celine says, from what I know of each devil fruit, there can only be one of them at a time. So if someone has a fruit, no one else can have that power until the first one goes. There can be multiple fruits, but there's only one fruit per power, is how I understand it. Voice says, still imagining the chaos a bounty will have. If you had to bring the target alive, they just keep trying to off themselves throughout the campaign. When that's definitely a different type of campaign for sure. Sounds fun though. But basically beats are, we got some town, we got minor conflict, which we want this, right? Oh my gosh, I don't know what's going on with me. So he says, like, if power A was blue fruit, there can be a red fruit or yellow fruit, but no more blue fruits. Yeah, there's only one fruit at a time. I don't really know how they get these fruits in the first place, but I know that that's the thing. So he says, all my knowledge comes from YouTube videos I saw on a... Yeah, no, same thing. That's all I know as well. Thank you. Okay. It's kind of like feels backwards, but that's what I want to do. Like decide on the beat, because relaxation, some socializing, and then I want people to start thinking about and be able to imagine a build for what they have. One of the main thing that I want players to have is something called haki. It's like a innate ability that can only be unlocked like through, it's like innate ability that everybody has. And then it needs to be unlocked through like really harsh training or like in a very desperate situation. So this kind of like gives like the alignment of what the character's growth look like. So like I really want everybody to start as a normal people. Normal people that gets a first level of growth during the campaign, like during the one shot, like in the middle of it. And then still be able to kind of imagine where they want to go with that build. And then using that limited resource to overcome all the challenges that are out here. Okay, so minor combat conflict, explorable dungeon type, and the final combat, I think there needs to be 2 explorables. So there's like a investigative exploration, right? Which introduces to a lesser version of the boss combat. And then big dungeon after that. So it's like a final dungeon with a final combat at the end, where basically it's like mini version of the boss and then the actual boss. The minor combat conflict is like combat introduction, strategy forming, and this one is boss mechanic lesson, and then this one is test of lessons, basically. And I definitely want to encourage the, I mean, not really encourage, but probably force them to have very specific roles. I also want this to be like simplified version of the game. So I'm not like giving a full Dungeons and Dragons. My goodness, I feel so not refreshed. Hopefully none of the people who's going to be playing this game will be watching today, because we'll be talking about some secrets. Now, of course, we have certain things we can implore on this one. We want our classic Harmon circle, right? so that the episode feels satisfying. But then it's also like up to the players to decide how these things go. Characters have certain ways of living, and I guess that's more like the improv part. I have to improv after understanding what the characters are, like force them to discuss way of being of character and then opportunity to change or not change. A little story writing thing. So these are the beats. Let's see. Let me look at the location here. So the town is called... These are the things that I didn't know. Like, and it's okay if it's like a little bit hallucinated by the Gen AI here. Lockstone is the location called. Lockstone. We can look at One Piece, Lockstone as a location here. Seastone? Lockstone cladding. No, these are made up, I guess. It definitely needs to be East Sea, from what I can understand. East Blue? No, hold on. One Piece locations. Definitely a different type of constructions. I was really hoping that some of you guys really just knew One Piece. So the planet is entirely, basically largely ocean. And I believe there is a something called Grand Line where all the dangers and wealth is, but most of the population live in East Blue. We got things don't load very well. The East Blue is the ocean, which makes up the east part of the Blue Sea, split by Red Line and the Grand Line. It is separated. I don't think I have to understand all these location things. It's just that it's very calm. It's the weakest of all the seas. Pirates who are considered powerful and threatening in this area are regarded as low rate. Okay, so these are the low rates. Definitely a introduction land. I guess I could just make up a location on this sea. We have Lockstone, which is a small town in East Blue. I don't know if I need to like come up with the narrative of like sailing into it. This is a writing exercise that I won't be able to do very well. I guess one lesson that I've heard was like write in ways that you can see versus just writing randomly. We can say, let's see, what kind of town is this? This is a small harbor town, probably. Would it be an island? It probably is an island, I think. Lockstone Island, let's say. It's Lockstone, let's imagine, because it looks like what? Why would it be considered Lockstone? Port Lockstone. I'll rely on my Gen AI here. I want to be able to describe the Lockstone here. Small port town located. We need to, I guess, locate it. I'm going to read some more lore on the East Blue itself to see what is a reasonable location around East Blue is. They hail from here. Yes. The island on Goa Kingdom is situated where Monkey D was born. I guess it doesn't really matter. Voices, peaks and rocky, not very fertile for vegetation, so most goods are imported from consumable of others. Yeah. I think that makes sense. I don't know if I want to give a reason why people live here, if it's so hard to access anything, right? It's a small, rocky port. Oh, you know what? I have an idea. So it's actually part of the mainland. I want to say it's actually part of the mainland. Like one of the big ones. But then they're locked out by a huge, like, rocky structures. So they're not exactly an island. They are port. But then there's actually no, like, land access to the main body of the land. I mean, maybe that is a project. Maybe that's what's happening right now. Like a lot of the criminals, or the refugees might hide away in Lockstone because it's not quite far away from the land mass enough to be like require you to really travel far. But then it's not so accessible by the land that you can really hide away. Hey, Fernando. Hi, hi. Welcome, welcome. You know, that might make sense. I mean, I guess you could always go around the edge, which is not bad. You know what? I'm going to do that. We'll come up with reasons why this is it. It's a small port town located on the... Do the continents have name? One of the islands. How about that? The Sea of Marine. I wonder if it should be near the marine space or not. The Shells Town. The continents really don't make much sense here. How about this? One Piece East Blue map. Maybe somebody has written something interesting about this. We got red line that surrounds this. There's a kingdom here. This one has a fishing village. I don't know how real this is, actually. Research is hard. Okay. I don't know if these things have a name, but... I guess it could be... You know what would be cool? Okay, maybe it's not a mainland. If it's an island that's actually just surrounded by rocks except a single opening. So it makes the access is a very defensible place. So I think there might be a huge like marine presence there because it's like a good defensible point. I'll do that. You know what? It doesn't really have to be realistic. People make sense. You know what I mean? Okay. Small port town. Port Lockstone. Small port town. It's an island itself. Of the Lockstone Island. Port Lockstone of Lockstone Island. A small island in... I would say... This is called Red Line. This is East Blue. I guess the near the main. I want to see where the Marines are based on usually. Blue Fox says, I'm watching on YouTube too. Oh, nice. Thank you. Thanks for double dipping out here. That's always good. I'm flying blind here, just trying to figure out where everything is that still makes sense. 77th branch. Guess it doesn't really make sense. Warship Island. Island set before Grand Line. Near Grand Line is a bit too much, I think. That's like the next thing. It doesn't really have to be specific, I guess. I need better map out here. Okay. The calm belt here. Different episodes were taking place over here in this way. I guess somewhere around here makes sense. Village de Syrup. So funny, funny names for these places. I want to know what these islands are. I really wish they would just show me the continent name, but I guess like the lore of the anime itself doesn't really explain this very well. Okay, this is in Japanese. I will never be able to understand what that is. You know what? Let's keep it loose. We'll say a small island in East Blue, directly central to most of the major land masses. The island is surrounded by unnatural looking rock formation, rock wall formation. The island is surrounded by the unnatural looking rock wall formation where it gets its name, right? How about this? Okay. Lockstone Island is located, if I know how to spell, is located located central to most of the major land masses. Hi, Branoid. Branoid says hi. Oh, twice. Welcome, welcome. Hello. We're doing a little bit of campaign building. I promised a One Piece themed D&D session type thing. I'm not doing really D&D. I'm making my own mechanic, but basically tabletop RPG for a group for a birthday. So I'm trying to plan some of these things out. Okay. So Lockstone Island is located central to most of the major land masses in East Blue. Oh, cheap viewers. Nice. That's great. Let me bend this person real quick. Boop. What is that? Thanks for the sub, Sauce. Yes. So, it's a pretty chill session today. Less development. I do have to say, though, Zuzu and I have a consultation session for game design and stuff like that. I wonder if I should go live for that one, or if I should do it offline. I've already done one with Fernando here. I just did an initial edit of our session, Fernando. It was interesting to rewatch what we talked about. Voice has been a while since we had those. Had what? Oh, the bots? Yeah. It comes and goes. Fernando says, yay, yeah. Where it gets its name. The tall structures, okay, unnatural looking rock wall formation where it gets its name. While the... Okay, hold on. I need to figure out how I'm going to best write this description, I think. For instance, can't wait to see the edited version. Yeah. It's gonna be interesting. We'll see how it goes. I'm trying my best to make sure that it feels like cohesive and like there's a central theme to be more watchable. So I'm taking some time to edit that. Okay, looking rock wall formation where it gets its name, where the island gets its name. I guess I should say it is surrounded by first, and then where the island gets its name. While this makes it makes the center of the island extremely inaccessible, there is a small there's a large opening on the east. How about the southern coast of the island, where all of the ships, all of the travels. While this makes the center of the island extremely inaccessible, there is a large opening on the southern coast that allows for ships to sail in and out. I think this is pretty descriptive. You can picture what this looks like, right? I mean, that's the most important part. I don't have to write fancy. I just need for the description to accurately describe, draw a picture in your head. Now, being one of the major defense points, should it be a defense point or hide point? I feel like this would be easily accessible by the government, right? Because it's like central is a good defense point. Being one of the major defense point. High is good defense. Yeah. High is good defense. Ship sailing in and out. The natural, no, I guess I don't want to say natural again, because I want to. So this is a part where I want to write something about the fact that the large opening is still guarded heavily. Well, maybe it's not guarded heavily. Okay, how about this? I still want this to be a little bit like kind of... So the decision here is that, is this island a very neutral zone? Or is this island government, like the Marines, or the pirate controlled zone? The idea is that it is very defensible, so it is very like heavily contested, right? Being central to other lands, or central to being central to, these are centrally located. Okay, hold on. While the natural defenses make the island tempting. Yeah, I think it is neutral. While the natural defenses make the island tempting for anyone to make home. I feel like that's a bad English. Hold on. A bad English. While the natural defenses make the island a perfect hideout or base. I guess perfect. While the natural defenses would make the island a perfect base for organizations and pirates, the island has been left mostly unclaimed. Why? Okay, while the natural defenses would make the island a perfect base for organizations and pirates, the island has been left mostly unclaimed. I mean, I don't know how to describe this, but this makes sense to me. If there's a spot that is very critical for a victory of an army or whatever, and everybody started out with it unclaimed in the first place, then I would think that you would highly contest it, meaning it's harder to claim because people are watching it more fiercely. It's like, I don't know if it makes sense. Like, if you're trying to go through a really defendable or really critical point in like any game, naturally you're exposed to more open fires because people are often watching it like a hawk because it's an obvious defense point. So I think that's probably what we are looking for. While the natural defenses will make the island a perfect base for organizations and pirates, this also makes the area highly watched or contested. Weird Voice says, yeah, no one's claiming that land. If one takes it, the others will join forces and wipe you out, which will be detrimental for my faction. Yeah, it's true. This is contested. Also makes the area highly contested. This means if anyone is to try claiming the spot. Do I have to like explain this? Freddy says, what you working on? I'm working on a tabletop RPG one-shot that's One Piece themed, One Piece the anime, because I promised to DM a game for somebody's birthday, and I have not prepared, and I don't have that much time right now, so I decided to use my streaming time to do this. And it's pretty low-key activity for a day before holiday. Tomorrow's going to be busy, you know, Thanksgiving here in America, in Freedom Land. And which also makes it, I don't know if I'm going to be streaming on Friday, but we'll see. We'll see. No worries here. Excuse me. Freddy says One Piece one shot. Haha. Yeah, exactly. One Piece one shot. Hey, Felsifi Adam. I don't know how to say your name. Sorry, but I've seen you. I feel like you had different name the last time I saw you. But yeah, hi. Felsifi? Felsef? I don't know. Something like that. Freddy says, you can't wait for Thanksgiving dinner. Ooh, Thanksgiving dinner is going to be amazing. Just eat, eat, eat. All right, so we got, this means if anyone is tried claiming... No, I don't think I need to explain this. I think I'm going to leave it up to players' imagination. Trust the player a little bit. While the natural defenses will make the island a perfect base for organizations and pirates, this also makes the area highly contested. Which made... contested. Which means... the island remains neutral as a neutral zone. Which means the island remains as a neutral zone. Do I have to explain that? I feel like I do. I feel like I don't. I don't know. How about this? So... the island has remained as a neutral zone for a while now. Okay, how about this? So we got this. So Lockstone Island is located central to most of the major land masses in East Blue. It is surrounded by the unnatural-looking rock wall formation, where the island gets its name. While this makes the center of the island extremely inaccessible, there is a large opening on the southern coast that allows for ships to sail in and out. While the natural defenses would make the island a perfect base for organizations and pirates, this also makes the area makes it a highly contested, highly contested spot. So the island has remained as a neutral zone for a while now. No King's Land, exactly. Perfect. That's perfect description. So this is the description of the land to begin. I'm going to decide that. So people, I guess the idea is that people don't try to fight here, because if they do, things can go really explosive real quickly. It's like the what do you call it? The Cold War kind of sense. Right? Would that make sense? I think so. I think I'm gonna just say that makes sense. Okay. We're gonna read this to the player. All right, that means we have... that also means that there's a thriving economy here, right? Most everything is probably available, because most people do still come here. Like, they have basically every organization would have their, like, people planted in this city, because you got to keep watch. You got to keep contact with everyone. Yeah. Mutually assured destruction type of situation. Well, now, well, now. All right. I don't know if this is like the flavor text or something that I just kind of write as a description. Port Lockstone has a thriving economy for its size because of high interest by many organizations. high interest by many organizations in East Blue. People are usually cautious to start anything, any big conflict within the social space, social public space of the town, because it is understood that any major conflict within the island would come at a great loss. Something like that. Cool. All right. We want, let's come up with like maybe bases. We got 2, like 1 major inn. We want shops, which I guess will be at the forum, port forum. And then let's see. What's the leader situation? I mean, they're still locals, I would think. I guess there's no leader within the town itself. There's really no rules, no taxation, which is really good, I guess. High competition in terms of market. Okay. Love that. Very lovely. Sounds fun. So how do we get into this situation of people going into a journey? I do want to say there is a hidden location within Lockstone that the player gets to find out, I think. So I would say we set bounty, right? Does bounty still work, you think? As a player's goal within this campaign? So they arrive. Obviously, this means... Voice says, yeah. Okay. All right, players. They don't have to know each other. They just know that they have to be here in order to pick up jobs, which makes sense because there's a lot of jobs here, right? So the island has remained neutral zone for a while now. Port Lockstone has a thriving economy for its size because of high interest by many organizations. In East Blue, people are usually cautious. No, this is the other description. We don't have to like describe this part. This is like too much flavor text. I think this is knowledge that I'm going to keep to myself. So you all arrived here knowing that if you were to start... well, hold on. You arrived here, each seeking... wealth, I guess? Wealth. Wealthy future. How about this? Each of you recently arrived here in hopes of finding I don't know, wealth. Riddalux says, is it okay for me to say you low-key look like the Asian version of Snape? Right now, probably, especially because of my hair. I need to get a haircut. You can say that. I am Asian. I do have long hair. I could speak like the late Alan Rickman. Mr. Potter, maybe I could speak like this the whole time. Or something like that, right? Because of the hair, yes. Yeah, exactly. I understand. It's not that bad. Each of you, so this is towards a player. I want to see this. Say this to player. Each of you recently arrived here in hopes of finding a way. Okay, I have to think about this a little bit. Do I force players to be like, okay, all of you guys, all your characters are looking for One Piece. Why? Like, that's a prompt? Is that the prompt? Is that the prompt? Or do they... I feel like simplifying that is good. I think I'm going to simplify that and say, you are looking for One Piece. Which means wealth, fame, and power, right? Because I already wrote this down right here. The campaign starts with the classic One Piece introduction to kind of call back to the anime itself. It says, wealth, fame, power, a man who acquired everything in this world, the Pirate King, Gold Roger. His final words at his execution sent people to the seas. My wealth and treasures, if you want it, you can have it. Search for it. I left it all at that place. In search of the great treasure left behind by Gold Roger called One Piece, many pirates went to battle under their flags. During this time, there was one... Maybe I don't do this. During this time, a group of adventurers to be set out in search of One Piece. And then I'm going to say, everyone introduce yourselves. Why are you looking for One Piece? Right? And then we say, all right, well, all of you arrive at Lockstone. And Lockstone is an island that is located central to most of the major landmasses in East Blue. It is surrounded by the unnatural looking rock wall formation, blah, 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 blah. Explain all that. And say, I mean, I guess everybody already explained why they want One Piece. It is obvious why you are here, since to start your journey to find One Piece. Since if you were peace, since this is a place where pirates gather? No, I don't know. I don't like this. Whatever, we'll figure it out. We'll wing that part. I don't have to plan this part out. We talked about the thing. Let's come up with an inn name where people are staying naturally. It's like a bar / inn. I guess should it be similar to the name of the Lockstone, or it could be like something sea monstery? How about this? One Piece Sea Monsters. Let's see. Animal species. I'm looking at it. Global of animal characters. I don't know what the tiger sea beast. What are the sea beasts? Are large sea creatures similar to sea kings but differ in that they resemble surface mammals like cows, cats, lions. Do they have a name? Where Void says Fool's Gold Inn. That would be something else, I think. Protopass says, yes, I'm finally able to catch a live stream. Hi, long time no see. We're making our tabletop RPG themed One Piece right now. One Piece themed tabletop RPG game campaign. We're coming up with some stuff here. Do they actually have names? Several species of tigers have been seen. I don't know if these, like the sea beast version of the animals, have names or not. They resemble surface mammals like cows, but some can be very They're larger. It doesn't really seem like they have names. Protoss says One Piece is the most overrated piece of media franchise in history. I never watched it. I tried watching it, but I couldn't get over it. The first few episodes. But my friends really love it, so I'm trying to make a playable, fun little adventure for them to play together, because that's what matters. Airando Kujira. How about this? Our largest whale species in One Piece world. They resemble the real world. Okay, I think that's good. The whales, the island whales. I love that. We got a island whales. Hey, Void, with the long bunny. This will be one of the locations, I guess. Port Lockstone will have island whales. How about the bar and inn? I suppose there could be some interesting things happening. I'm going to just hold on to this idea for now. Protoss says, damn, the pixel creation merch goes hard AF. Oh, thanks. That's right. I do need to fix some of those things. I got to redesign, but we'll see. I have a 99% burnt out merch coming out soon. We recently voted on the design, and I'm waiting on my designer to come back with the finalized design. In fact, I'm supposed to receive it. I'm supposed to be receiving the finalized design, or not finalized, but next iteration of the design tomorrow. I guess it's a good time to show off again the designs, at least. Let me show you what we have so far and what we've selected. So the merch line is called 99% burnt out, and you can see what they look like. So from this section, we've selected this one, and we said maybe the contrast needs work. And then we selected this one, 99% burnt out, this one, and said maybe the shadow needs to be more straightened. I think we selected concept 9 as well, and this. Though once it gets designed, I have to decide, like, is it like a small logo on the chest, or is it like a big lettering in the center, or is it in the back, or is it both? That's another thing, but I really like this concept. So we're working on that. It's coming through. Our merch shop will be up very soon. I mean, merch shop is up, by the way. There are things you can buy there. But I'm particularly excited about this design, or this line. Proto says, is there one coming out with your face on it? I don't think it's generally acceptable. Proto says, or some kind of as the dev logo branding somewhere. I guess that's something I could work on later. As the dev logo is definitely something I need to figure out. I just don't have it. Thanks for the follow, Font Dev. But yeah, okay, so we got the island whales. We definitely have some shops here. We got the weapon shops. We definitely need to come up with the clerk's name. Like, I think I do definitely want to have Smithy is where probably the armors are made. Maybe I just need a separate one. Weapon shop. There are some, we're gonna write some things about weapon shop here. General store. It's gonna have like consumables and other items. And then armory. I guess the smithy might have armors actually. I guess the muskets and rifles would be sold separately. So we would have probably a weapon shop and armor shop separate. And then you have, what are places that sell guns called? Hi McCory, hi Buggy, welcome, welcome. Is there a name for that? A musket shop? Hold Although muskets and musket shop would be called something else probably. We should probably name these. Let's name these. We got island whales, which are bar and inn. How about we go instead of just calling it island whales, it will be simple. Drunken island whales. How about this? Oh, drunk island whales. Or wet island whales. I don't know. That sounds kind of silly, but it might work. Wet whales. That's the name of the bar and inn. Weapon shop might be called a One Piece game. Yeah. Mikori says One Piece game. Yeah. One Piece tabletop RPG. I'm working on this because I promised my friend who are fans of One Piece for their birthday. I was like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if I DM a game? Because they've been wanting to do TND or tabletop RPG for a long time, but they couldn't. I've been promising GMing it. So I was like, you know what? I'll do a GM for One Piece themed game, and I'll come up with all the mechanics and stuff like that. So right now I'm coming up with the ideas around campaign. I do need to do some sort of character building, but I wanted to get all these things down first. So yeah, it is One Piece themed. However, I'm not really I don't watch One Piece, so I don't really know exactly where I'm accurate or where I'm hitting the mark in terms of it feeling fun for them. So we'll see. If any of you guys watch One Piece, this will be a very helpful place. All right, weapon shop. What would that be called? I think it's gonna be, I don't know. What are some major... Oh, right, because they have the Dendemushi as a call center, huh? I guess we should have a Dendemushi store separately. It's their weird version of snail phone, I think. I think that's what it's called. Dendemushi. These are the odd phone snails that are used throughout the series. In the English version, they're called transponder snails. I see. Dendemushi store. Transponder snails. Why do they all... Okay, so let me take a look at this a little bit. The snail act as a number of devices, including rotary phones, fax machines, which turn around, and cellular wristwatch device. Dendemushi are able to communicate through radio waves. This is proven when smoker catches a conversation between Okay, interesting. I see. Wow, there's a whole mechanic around Dendemushi. Interesting. Buggy says, hi, Void. Mikori says, I won't lie. I thought with the message of what you were doing, you meant you were playing the game one shot. Oh, I see. Sorry. It's called one shot because one shot campaigns are just the one time and done type of campaigns. Maybe 2 to 4 hours, depend. Oh, there are so many variations. I guess it would be cool to allow people to buy earpiece Dendemushi. And then some of these variations. I really like that actually. Jam signals. Kuro eavesdrop. Is that how we spell it? Eavesdropping. Oh, it's one word. And then we got the normal one for regular calls. Do you need one for... Okay, somebody tell me the mechanics of Dendemushi. Do you need one for every person? Or is this a regular phone? Pearl says, how do I get the 15% off for being Twitch sub on the shop? It just says that you get that. I think. Hold on. So if you, I think this is discounted price, right? No? Hold on. I don't really know how it works, guys. Fourth wall. Let me figure that out, okay? Protoss. Because says making a game on One Piece story lore is like making a video game using the entire history of the entire world at once. That's why I'm scoping it down, making sure that it's just kind of loosely using it, like some of the mechanics, like the devil fruit and hockey. Celine says it's getting late for me. I'm gonna go head out. Hope rest of the stream is fun. Thanks, Celine, for stopping by. I'll see you later. Because says I have no idea about anything One Piece. I see. I got a lot of us, I think. A lot of us who doesn't know. All right, let me take a look at the whole perks. Orders, not orders. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure this out myself. Offer free shipping. Product for yourself. It's somewhere. Just give me a sec. Fourth wall Twitch sub discount. How? Let me see. I mean, if it's not like obvious, that's not like very good. When you integrate Twitch with your fourth wall site, you can create promotional discounts that are exclusive to your Twitch subscribers. There's no need to manually verify the sub or send unique codes. When the supporters is checking out, they'll be prompted to log into their Twitch login. That's what it says. It says when you're checking out, you can log into your Twitch login to see if you're a sub or not. Protoss. Hey! Thanks for the Prime sub, Mikori. 6 months. Wow.
Devil a 7 berry up, 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 devil a 7 berry up.
Wow. You know what's funny? I've never had these like audio thing work properly. And today it decides to work and it's just emotes. That's funny. I guess I'm gonna make a regular one, and then we're gonna make a earpiece one for more hidden operations, so people can decide what they're gonna do with this. This could be cool. Okay. All right. So everybody is here for a reason. They can obviously. Let's decide on the story here. We said maybe main story is that we're going for a bounty. Like the players decide to go for a bounty, but somebody needs to lead them, right? They're here for a job individually. How do we put them together? So I think what we're going to do is that we're going to presuppose that they all got a flyer or pamphlet to come here for a hire. Basically, I think. And this is their beginning journey or whatever. That's probably a good thing. Mikori says, new emotes? No, those were always there. It's only Prime. Oh, I guess it's... Hold on. You've already been a Prime sub before, right? I mean, it says 8 months. Yeah, those are sub emotes, I think. Yeah. Okay. All right, so we said some sort of minor conflict. I do want definitely something investigative. Let's work backwards here. I definitely want there to be a story of some sort of fruit. Devil's Fruit. That's the main thing that players will be claiming from the main final boss, Big Bad. So we need to point players to the Big Bad and the Devil's Fruit. And I think we need to drop hints about the Big Bad's operation somehow in a very meaningful way. The operation, I think, is something sneaky. It might be that let's see. I'm trying to think here. So the Big Bad, their story is that whatever the Big Bad's name is, found has information about a hidden spot in Port Lockstone. Hidden spot, more like less like hideout, but more like Indiana Jones. There's some information, a rumor has information about, has collected rumors of treasure in Port Lockstone. Nicori says, will this be 3D or 2D? This is in-person game. This is not, we're not making computer game. This is tabletop RPG, is like D&D, where you sit around table. Yeah. So this, I'm just planning a game story for us to sit around and play together. Yeah. Oh yeah, no problem. I mean, you just missed that. That's all. I need to use the restroom real quick. I'll be back, actually. BRB. Hold on. Let me mute myself. I'm back. All right. It's a little getting dark out here. Okay. Let's see. We were saying, thank you, Void. I think this is like a very typical thing. Has collected rumors of treasure in Port Lockstone, which basically leads to a dungeon. And then the question now is, who originally created this dungeon and why, right? Like, what's the history behind this? I think the kind of the rock formation needs to come into play with what this means and why it was so hard to discover in the first place. I'm thinking here. What's the motif of the rock walls? Because I was just thinking, like, what if there's like submerged, like a freshwater fountain in the middle? That is basically the entry point for this dungeon, which makes it really hard to get through. Like, because if you know One Piece, I believe there's a side effect here. The side effect is once you consume devil fruit, you are unable to swim. Now, what happens if the... Hold on. How is devil's fruit made, I guess? Devil fruit? Not devil's fruit, devil fruit. Another fruit that each grant unique power. Yeah, category's fine. Origins. Nothing on the origins, mechanics, or true nature. Even the world's greatest scientist doesn't know. Okay, so it's generally mysterious. That's fine. Okay, so only one of each exist. Only single bite. Okay. Okay. I'm just reading. I mean, because there's some irony in the fact that, like, devil fruit, which gives a side effect of inability to swim, being underwater. Does that, like, you know how, like, crazy that is, right? So if you're greedy and, like, you eat it while you're down there, you're basically unable to get out. I mean, that's the idea, at least. Protoss is messaging me asking about what's the best margin for these products. I don't know, dude. I haven't looked into that. I'm pretty sure the best margin are the cups, because the clothes are just too expensive in general. Void says, indeed, then when you perish, it just grows back underwater, right? I mean, given the fact that the One Piece doesn't really mention anything about how the fruits are formed, there may be some sort of magical source here that allows the devil fruit, this one particular devil fruit, to keep spawning when it's gone. That detail doesn't have to be explained, I think. It would be fun once you go down there. So, okay. I'm going to say... a dungeon... We don't know who made it, but it's for sure a housing of devil fruit. Bo Racing says, hello, are you writing GDD? Almost, kind of. It's a different sorry. It's different type of game development today. I usually do Godot game dev video games, but today I'm taking some time to actually make a one-shot RPG, the TTRPG, tabletop RPG, which means if you're not familiar with tabletop RPG, it's like Dungeons and Dragons, which is an RPG game, role-playing game you play with your friends on a table and you roll dice. And I'm making a campaign where a single day campaign, either 2 to 4 hours gameplay of like a single mission, single storyline where everybody can just kind of partake in. And this one in particular, we're theming it on One Piece because I promised my friend that I will be hosting / GMing for the game, and they're fans of One Piece. And I thought I had a lot of time, but it's actually like next week. So I need to take this time to plan this out. Yeah. So that's why I'm doing this right now. So it's kind of GDD in that we are designing the game in a document sense. Like, it wouldn't be too crazy to go from here to like actually making the video game if I were to make a video game. But for now, I'm making the just a tabletop RPG experience. Same type, but I'm applying basically whatever I learned about game design and game development in this sense. That's why I do this. Like, this is the player experience I want, the kind of like the level curve, expectation of seeing your future progress and then being excited about it and then progressing towards it. I do think that it would be awesome if in the middle of the game you have an opportunity to get money to buy something and before going into something bigger. So we got, let's do a minor job, minor like beginning job first. That is, I think whoever hired these players, the player characters to come here is putting them through a test first. And we're like, hey, I will give you a test job, which is to go chase down this person and then, I don't know, bring the person back. The thing is, this person, you discover that this person has some extra information. Like they're like the guardians of the town of this like dungeon, like the family lineage, and they keep secret. And they somehow leaked this information, and that's why they're capturing it. And then players have decision to like give the if the players go, oh, I want this job, so I'm gonna return this guy to the pirate captain. Then the pirate captain will be like, okay, great. I found some information. I need you to lead a charge here and do this. Versus the alternate path is like, if they decide that they want to save this person, or like, oh, there needs to be some sort of like danger, why they need to go down and grab the what do you call the fruit, because there's something happening within the island. All right. I think that'll be a great idea. Yes, I think island's about to change. I think that's a great tempo. Island's about to change. Let's do that. So we say island is about to change. Danger. Which endangers the hidden treasure of the island. The guardians have been hastier with their secret. Thanks for the sub, Floyd. Because of this, Big Bet heard rumors and is trying to hire new unknown faces because Big Bad and their crew is too well known, right? Because if I'm like too well known everywhere I go, people avoid me. They don't give information, etc., etc. So they're trying to use new people to get this information, or whatever the reason is. And then that's an opportunity for getting paid. Get some sort of pay reward. Shop. Leads to dungeon. And then fight Big Bad. One reason or another. We need to think about this, I think. Right? I think so. All right. So we're going to do that. They're going to look around. We'll say the players, or it's not the players, it's just players are all here, are all traveling to Port Lockstone for a specific job that they are hired for. But how about the Big Bad's name? How about that? We need a Captain something. Captain Escrow. Escrow means what? Financial arrangement, right? An escrow is a contractual arrangement in which a third party receives and disperses money or property. So it's I think it's an apt name, I think. Captain Escrow. How about that? Captain Escrow. Lovely. How about this? Captain Escrow. I love it. To Port Lockstone for us. Players are hired by the crew, by Captain Escrow for a job with a promise of introduction to what? To promise of fulfilling each player's goal towards One Piece. This part is improvised. The game starts with players sailing towards Port Lockstone and socializing on the way. Okay. And then they're going to meet. They're supposed to meet Captain Escrow at a location. Cool. And basically, the idea is I suppose, I don't know. I mean, they wouldn't meet at an inn. That's too public. They need a private spot. I mean, they need to get a location in the inn. They were asked to meet the captain somewhere. And then once they meet them, the captain will tell them something about chasing this guy. It needs to be a little bit morally ambiguous, I guess. Like it's kind of measuring what people are willing to do in order to gain their goal, I guess. Thanks for the follow, Daniel TM. Welcome. So I guess we could say they're chasing a rumor. But what's the lie? What's the lie that the escrow is telling? I think so. This is like the second one where meeting Captain Escrow. Hey, thanks for the raid, LJ. Welcome. It's a long time no see. Sorry I haven't been around there in a while. We're doing different type of game development today. Let's give shout out to LJ. Shout out one of our early friends here. Very cool guy, person. Welcome, welcome. Different type of game development. We're working on a one shot. And I keep having to explain this every time I say one shot. In terms of tabletop RPG, D&D. But it's not really D&D because I'm trying to make my own mechanics. My friend is a One Piece fan. And I promised that we're going to have a One Piece D&D, One Piece themed D&D game on their birthday with a group. And I said, I'll GM it. Now, of course, as being a game dev / design enthusiast, I can't just use a normal mechanic. I got to make my own thing. So right now, it's a little late, but I'm trying to come up with a campaign where like the storyline and all the game mechanics for that game. So now the problem right now is that I haven't watched One Piece. So I'm doing my best to make it work, but I think it's been fun so far. LJ says, I ran a one-shot campaign with an ex of mine. It was a lot of fun. Have you heard of Roll20? Yeah, I have heard of Roll20. Roll20 is a great tool. We're doing it in person, so I'm not too worried about it, but this is going to be One Piece themed, so we'll see. Hey, Loco. Loco says, yo! Loco Ponto, welcome. So yeah, we're making One Piece tabletop RPG one-shot. So far, what we have is we created this campaign where the players are, for some reason, they need to figure out why their character is going for One Piece. They're trying to adventure to find One Piece. And then initially, this is their first adventure. They're hired by Captain Escrow to an island called Port Lockstone, where there's an unnatural wall-like rock structure that is surrounding the island, which makes it a perfect defense point for a lot of people. It is highly contested, so it's owned by no one. It's neutral zone. So they're here. And right now we're just coming to the part where they're socializing, they're exploring the island and seeing what the island is all about. So they hear a little bit of lore about the island, what kind of people there are here, what kind of economies here. And then they get to finally go to the meeting point with the main guy. The story basically is we're going to have to describe what Captain Escrow looks like here. And then explain what is being told to the player, right? Captain Escrow will say, Captain Escrow welcomes the player with much enthusiasm. The character isn't particularly what do you call intimidating, particularly intimidating. He seems to be a lighthearted, outgoing, and sociable individual, which is a front, of course. Captain, or the captain informs the player that he he wants them to follow the trail of this person. Of a thief who stole some important documents from the captain. It's supposed to be a easy track and grab mission. Okay. On the surface. I guess player can mission, but something feels slightly odd where player might suspect the captain isn't telling the entire story. Something along the lines of that. We need to describe the meeting quarter here. On how are ships named in One Piece? Now we're gonna... Is there a naming convention in One Piece for ships? One Piece ship names? Power ships. Thriller Bark, Flying Dutchman. Okay, these are all like well-known. Well, these are big ones, I guess. Let's say we're gonna have some like sly motif. I think some untruthful motif. A symbol of trickery. Trickster. What do we have here? What are some animal? Fox are tricksters. Snakes, probably well known. Tricksters. I think it would be cool to have Captain S. Crow be symbolized by actual crow, but it's not really about crow, right? S. Crow is about money. So I think on instead of directly referring to crows, how about something like nested beak. That's the name of the ship. Meaning Captain S. Crow, oops, on nested beak. And would say, we'll probably have to describe what the ship looks like, I would think. Generally speaking. You approach the plank, or you approach the plank to board a fairly board the nested beak. The ship is what is it? I don't know nothing about sailing, so. Pink says, escrow is a housing closing cost joke. No, yes, it is. I don't know how I'm gonna tie that all in, but we'll see. It is that joke. That is the joke, but I don't know how to apply it yet. Like, I just thought it was funny, but we'll see. Pink Ottoman. I'm taking advices here. You approach the plank to board the nested beak. The ship's bow? Is that true? Is that how you spell ship's bow? Okay. Bow. Okay. The ship's... What are the part that's like in front of the bow, like the front edge decoration? It's the forward part of the hull of the ship, so it is correct. So ship's bow. At the ship's bow, on the ship's bow, figurehead. Oh, is that what it's called? Figurehead. Ship figureheads. Hey, look at all the research I have to do in order to make writings. That's crazy. Carved wooden decoration found in the bow of the ship. Oh, yeah, okay. So it is bow of ships, and there's a figurehead. What would be the figurehead of this thing would be? Let me look at the escrow a little bit deeper. Is a financial arrangement where a trusted third party holds assets until a condition is met. So buyer funds the escrow. Escrow gives the money to the seller. And then seller gives the assets to the buyer. It's like a middleman that handle transaction. The collection and payment is handled by the escrow, I think. Okay, okay. Not really sure how he's gonna play out into this, but we'll see. The collector. What's the image of a collector? What's the imagery that is related to the bank other than $? Imagery of bank or money, I guess. Money. Weird symbolism, imagery of money. Let's see. The eye at the top of the pyramid. Okay, I see that. A sack or bag. That would be a terrible figurehead. What's considered a greedy creature? Pig? Ooh, what if it's a pig? But then, like, it's like calling themselves piggy. But then it's okay, right? It's just... Is crow actually greedy? Ooh, what if it's like a figurehead of a crow with a coin in its mouth? Coin in its mouth, and then the contract, like the parchment on its feet. Like this. Oh, I love that. Because it's collecting money as a contract. I wonder how that's going to play out on all this, but we'll see. On the ship's bow, a figurehead of large crow is set. I mean, this is passive voice. On the ship's bow, you see a large crow's figurehead. with what appears to be a golden It's true. I love that. Figure out. Void says also group of crows is called a murder, a fitting name for a bounty hunters. Yeah, exactly. I think that's great. Flank to board the nested beak. On the ship's bow, you see a large crow figurehead with what appears to be a golden coin. Or figurehead, which is biting onto a golden coin. On its claws? Talon? Pink Autumn says, search types of sail plans for tall ships, which you might want to define for the nested beak. What is it? Types of sail plans for tall ships. Not sure what that means, but sail plan is a drawing of a sailing craft. Oh, that's very complicated. They're not going to ride the ship just yet, so. But it's a good term to know. I'll hold on to this. Thanks, Pink Autumn. All right. Anyways, on its talon, or large crow figurehead, which is biting onto a golden coin, and coin on its talon. Is it really talon? Do they not call it claws? Clutching a rolled up scroll. I like that. Golden coin. Okay. So on the ship's bow, you see a large crow figurehead with figurehead clutching a rolled up scroll. And biting on a golden coin. Okay. All right. I love that. That's good. I have to think. Is the captain already waiting for them? Is it a skinny or fat boat? Skinny boat. I mean, it has to be a fat boat. I only know frigate. I thought pirate ships are either sloop or frigate. Let me see. I mean, sloop is sailboat, so that's way too small. Is there smaller than frigate? Ooh, let me see. I'm gonna look at this. Is this schooner or schooner? How do you say that? I mean, this wouldn't have. Oh, I guess it can be pretty big, huh? Schoon? Okay, schooner. Types of sailing vessel defined by its fore and aft rig and all of 2 or more masts and foremasts generally being shorter than mainmast. Okay. 1700s. The term may be related to Scots word meaning skip over water. Seems like this is pretty agile while being big. Is that true? Okay. Large but agile. Brig, ship type, brig. Brig can refer to a historical sailing ship class with 2 square rigged masts. 2 masted sailing vessels with square rig. I don't really... Navy. More wide, more width, this one. I do think that I feel like being some sort of like Pink Autumn says most One Piece ships are square-sailed ships. I mean, that makes sense. It's just aesthetically more pleasing, but I still want to keep up with the like idea of what makes sense for the job. I mean, he clearly has a lot of money, right? Gaff sails are maneuverable. Okay, let me see that gaff. Oh my gosh, what the heck? Well, that's not what I was looking. Something else popped up there. This one seems really low to the water, huh? This is more... I think it should be, at least the main ship should be square brig. So we'll go with the brig, I think. This one seems warship-like. In America, while full rig ship is square rigged on 3 masts and the bark is square rigged. Okay. I'm not really sure why you would choose one over the other. It would be cool if the players can choose what kind of ships they want for the purposes of naval battle. Void says, won't one of the players be the captain? Eventually. Like right now, I'm saying like players don't start out as a crew yet. They're like hired by this... The idea is, I think, the option to become a crew and choosing which, who is a captain and whatever, will be determined at the end of the campaign. So that if they decide to go on to the future, they can become a crew. So I really like the idea of like level 1, you choose... like not the role in like the naval role. Thank you, Void, for blessing me. So this is the gameplay. You know how like in D&D typically you do like, oh, like you choose your background that gives you some sort of skills and ability. Like kind of like that, but more rather you have like tendencies. So you choose your like alignment, like intellectual alignment, or physical alignment, and then that gives you something at level 1, very minor stuff. And then at level 2 or 3, that's when a crew becomes relevant. So at level 2 or 3, that's when you become a crew. At that time, you get to choose your ship role, which gives you something. And then you have this like talent tree within the crew tree where you can cross class. So the class, I think the class is more like a crew tree. So you can mix and match crew tree because that's the ability that you learn. And then you have this like other nature, which is part of like hockey. And then the weapon mastery. I feel like weapon mastery would be a little bit different. I think that I'm going to have to figure that out because I never enjoy the gameplay of like class being tied to the weapon ability. I want it to be like separate ability. So Pink Autumn says, it's a little crunchy to get into types of ships. Agreed. Barkentines are, as Wiki says, kind of like hybrids, tend to be good in most situations. I see. Brigantines can be smaller. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to choose a ship that feels reasonable. Whatever has a captain's quarter. Do all these ships can have captain's quarter in terms of like old school, like pirate ship wise? Pink Autumn? Seems like you're very knowledgeable on ships, so this is great. Leffingham Brush says, hi Ezra, hope you're doing well. I'm doing well. It's been going well. Just trying to create a campaign here. Let's see. It's okay. So you approach the plank to board the nested beak. On the ship's bow, you see a large crow figurehead. How about this? On the ship's bow, you see a large crow figurehead clutching a rolled up scroll and biting onto a golden coin. Pink Autumn says, have tread sail experience. Any ship could be outfitted to have a captain's quarter. I see, I see. Especially if you don't want to worry about an engine room like modern ships. Well, yeah, we don't have to worry about that. Those are just the sail ships. I feel like Barkentine seems about right. It's apparently schooner. Still schooner bark. Mercator 1932 as a trading ship of Belgian merchant fleet. These are steel though. Would that make sense? You know what? I'm going to go with the Barkentine, but let me look at this real quick. Brigantine here. Full rigged ship. Barkentine. What's the difference between full rigged and Barkentine? McCoy says, sometimes when you working on a group project with classmates, I wonder what these people are even learning, if they're even learning at all. Well, a lot of times people are there just for the grade, unfortunately. I see. So this one has this like main sail and then it has these like little things. Interesting. This one definitely requires more crew. I do feel like depending on how many crews you can afford to hire, you might want to also change the ship that you order, right? Brig. I feel this is called Geth. So I guess Barkentine or Brig. Barkentine is huge. Is Brig basically, I mean, you can kind of see that they're similar size. Semkin says, hello Ezra, I hope you're having a good day. Yeah, I'm having a good day. We're looking at ships. It's kind of interesting actually. I'm gonna go with Barkentine. I'll say you approach the plank to board the nested beak. And it's going to be Barkentine. I'm not going to have to describe that. I don't have to say that. Nobody cares about... I mean, not nobody cares, but like, I don't think people will make choices differently because of that. Voices I'll be lurking as. Yeah, no problem. I'll probably be leaving here in a bit, actually. I was going to do a short session today. So we're about coming on time. But yeah, this has been fun. All right, let's finish this out. Mikor says, yeah, I know, I'm sorry. I will probably be here on Friday. I'm not really sure. Okay, so I need some choices here. I'm meeting Zuzu on Friday morning, my time, 8 a.m. For our little game design consultation thing. This is my second ever. I'm going to be recording it, but I wonder if I should do it live as well as record. I got a little practice, a lot of. I might have to turn off the chatter though, because I don't want my video to have all the chatters in it. Maybe it's okay. I don't know. Mikori says, "Lol, I'm dying." Mikori says, "That's what it sounds like. That's what that emote sounds like to me." So I don't know if I record Zuzu's session, then maybe I will skip the live. But if I do live, then I'll just do the consultation live with Zuzu. We'll see. All right. We don't have to worry about the details just yet. Okay, so you approach. What does Captain Escrow look like? That's another question. What does he look like? Anyways, so he's asking to follow the trail of this quote unquote thief for a very important document. Now the details of the instruction would be like, what does this document look like? How are they supposed to find it? Mikori just redeemed our 12 squats. Let's see. The berry folks will all disappear right now if I change the mode, I think. I don't know if there's a better way to do it though. All right, let's do our 12 squats, everyone. If you're just joining, you don't know, we do squats here if people redeem squats. But the idea is all of you guys will be doing the squats together. So we're going to hit that 12 squats, get our quads. My legs are a little tired because I had a full leg day on last Friday, and it's still sore. So we'll see. All right, everyone. The camera is a little bit big, so I don't know if it's going to capture all my body, but... Nine, 10, 11, 12. There we go. We hit 12 there. Ugh. Hey, Berry Folk lived. Nice. It didn't get canceled. Whew. Okay. Mikori says, Ezra and his green shadows, exactly. Chuck says, game devs never miss leg day? No, of course not. Game devs are all about leg days. It's what makes our brain flow. We run on leg days and coffee. That's the true lesson here. All right. A few things I need to resolve before calling it a day here for sure. What are some descriptions? What are some of the guidances that the captain give in order to put player on the trail of this quote unquote thief? I think and why can't he do it himself? That's another question. Why can't he do it himself? Short-handed. I mean, that's a very simple explanation. He has no crew. They're busy. But if it's that important, why wouldn't he just put his crew to it? That's true. Or he recently lost all his crew for whatever reason. Voice says he's just a transporter. Okay. Like he himself has no ill intention. He's just doing a job. Okay. Okay. So he's a very neutral person. He usually just takes a job. from people and then just kind of assign it. All right, that's okay. Okay. So they're saying, hey, I was asked to blah, 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 do this, do that. So that's his usual job. Okay, Captain Escrow's usual business. Okay. The Captain Escrow is a contract liaison. Contract liaison who works as a third party to help criminals collect their bounty from the government. Right? Because they're... Okay, so I actually looked this up before. The criminals cannot collect bounties, right? Because if they go to the official places to collect a bounty, they will get captured. So they need a third party who is willing to transport the criminal to collect a bounty and distribute the money. So that's Captain Escrow's main job, is to collect bounty as a third party. Or any kind of like third party liaison tasks. Voice says a bounty comes, someone needs to get them to their location. Yeah, exactly. The world government, I guess, specifically. The character isn't particularly intimidating. He seems to be lighthearted and sociable individual. The captain informs the player that he wants them to follow the trail of a thief. I do think that he is letting on more than he knows. You know what I mean? Like, yes, this job came from someone else. But what is Captain Escrow's real dream? You know? This is great. I'm collecting money, no risk. But that might be because he has like this like weird self-esteem issue. And maybe if this character catches a wind or already has caught the wind of what the treasure is, he might have been like, you know what? I want this for myself. This is not for a bounty. I'm going to take this. I'm going to basically undermine the contract. Because when Captain Escrow takes the job, they necessarily don't commit to the job. They're just giving the job away. And what they do in between to interact with that job is up to him. So I think that's probably good. Players do not know yet, but the captain has a sense of what is hiding deep within the island and wants the treasure for himself. The players are led to believe well, I don't think I have to write this yet, but I do need that transitional point reasoned out of like the Captain Escrow gives them the job, gives them all the necessary details on tracking this person. Once the player tracks, right? So the player somehow tracks the guy through dangers. So I think the tracking the thief, for example, this one needs to describe some information about what are conflicts that can happen. I want like two path where they can either socially overcome some things or they're met with like combat. So those are like two main choices for them. And then once they meet the thief, so like combat versus social versus like a stealth type of situation. And then we want something like handling the thief, which is where additional truth potentially is uncovered, which allows the players to make a choice to follow through with the job versus help the thief. Helping the thief could be like do you lie to the captain? Do you go to the source of the job? You know, all those things. Because the sad part is about the group project stuff. I know one of the group members who are 100% using AI. All the signs are there. Emotes and codes, comments, AI looking CSS UI. Unsure about how to do anything. It's saddening. You know what? That's not your problem for sure. It is saddening, you know, but, you know, they are undermining their own ability. I heard a lot of news about like people who are coming into the job field now, not really knowing and understanding what they're doing because of that. But, you know, I think the consequence of the, I would call cheating, will be met in the worst of the time. And you have only yourself to blame. Like, there's nothing wrong with getting help and learning. But if you're not learning and you're just kind of shortcutting some of the tasks that you should be learning, then, you know, there's that for sure. I'm sorry you're going through that, McQuarrie. That does suck. Okay, so I'm starting to put down some outlines of what's going to happen. We got the handling of the thief, some additional potential is uncovered, additional truth is uncovered, which allows the players to make a choice to follow through with the job versus help the thief. That truth will lead to the ruin, I think, which I'm going to name it something, is a puzzle dungeon with some natural dangers like monsters and mobs. And then once they get to the final thing, there needs to be a final big bet at the arrival. When arriving at the treasure, the captain shows up to take imbibe. Well, I don't know, actually. Hold on. One piece, devil fruit. How long does it take for power? Does power happen instantly? Yeah, it does happen instantly. Occurring as soon as the user swallows a fruit. While the powers are immediate, the user may need time to discover and learn how to control them. Okay. So, Anti-Communist says, GPU accelerated predictive text is perhaps the biggest hype bubble since the .com era. It is pretty hypey. You know, it's funny because I keep saying this every time somebody brings it up. The neural network-based learning is not new. And it's been used in vision, it's been used in sound processing, it's been used in all these things. And then, yes, generative text came out. And thing is, we are mistaking predictive language as intelligence because intelligence is inferred by the language. But at the same time, it is still helpful. The hype is how much money is that's going in there. And it's a hype because the money will not, like the amount of money you put in, usually you suspect that much money will come out of it. But that's not going to happen. Like, that's not going to happen. We'll see. Because, but Ezra, GPT is AGI. Or so X people keep wanting to think. Yeah. You know what? Look. You can lie long enough to become successful sometimes. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I have no faith in it. Absolutely no faith. Because everybody in the industry who's in the know, like my friends, and what I've seen, I've worked in that space as well a little bit. Like a lot of people in the know are saying like basically that. And only the leaders and the general public is still like hyped about it without fully understanding it. They're hyped about the promises. Then the suckers are the people who don't know and is excited. Because it's so easy for me to go out there. So I can push my credentials, right? I'm like, oh, I worked in Google, I worked in Amazon, 10 plus years software engineer. I have friends who are in the space, and I make an AI company, let's say. I make an AI company, all the buzzword. And, you know, I don't even need to impress the main people who are in the space. There are a lot of people who are not in the space with money that regrets not hopping onto it, that are not exactly on the know of what's happening. And I could just be like, I could just lie to them. You know? So, I don't know. NT-Communist says, oh, thanks for the follow, by the way. Absolutely, it can be a very useful tool in terms of big context-aware search engine, but I think corps are using AI as excuse to sack people without worrying shareholders. Yeah, really. It's like, they need to get rid of workers, not because of AI. They just need to get rid of workers because the economy is really bad. But if I do that without any reason, then you're showing weakness of the economy as a government as well. To give a proper quote-unquote reason in the media at the forefront, you allow the scaffolding of like releasing all the debt and then giving the bag to other people who doesn't know. And you can exit safely while all the people who are hyped takes the burden of that bag. And once everything falls apart, people who lose out are the people who were hyped. I mean, that's why you see all these people, like if you look at all the CEOs and leaders of these companies right now and what their moves are, they are cashing out a lot. So be careful out there. Nobody knows when. I mean, that's the biggest part. Nobody knows when it's going to happen. So it's hard to time that, but it is what it is. Because it's 100% on, and they're call the app as Easy Cash, works on 2 levels. Yeah, exactly. Easy Cash, free money. It's a AI generated cryptocurrency. It's like AI cryptocurrency based on AI. What does that mean? Do I have to explain what it means? It just means money. Everyone, give it to me. Everyone, give it to me. That's how it goes. Though I heard that the leaders are become slightly more smart in that they now know and think about, because it's been a few years. The investors are now starting to ask, what is the path of profitability, which is really hard to explain right now. So we'll see. You can still lie about anything, but Anti-Communist says it's time to think of a post-bubble startup. We'll scan your code base and extract all the slop. Yeah, no, I was actually thinking about this. I thought it would be cool to make a agency, or like the agency slash consultation group with full like old school team with like the UX designer, the front end, back end engineer. It's like a team that goes in and fixes the already existing software. And charge more than they would have. McRace's law, that is so big. That's so big, AI crypto people. Doesn't matter what it means. It means money. Haha. No, and seriously. I mean, even if people know, like, you know what's funny about the whole crypto situation and AI situation, and both, everything, every time I'm like, technology, very interesting. There's some potential and use cases. And then all these like hype stuff completely goes against the main theme and idea. You know what I mean? And T says, got any more of them? Sniff, sniff, cartoon monkeys. Yeah, exactly. People get excited about the idea. I mean, I'm okay with that, right? I'm okay with the idea of like uniqueness, tokenization, publicly held database, which is a little bit silly, but it is. There's no other solution. Like, there's no other solution that you can almost guarantee a forever hold that doesn't belong to a single company. But in actuality, in practice, people don't want that. You know, and also in actuality, it goes back to it. For example, like original cryptocurrency idea was like, people are banks. You are your own bank. The truthiness of your holding is proven by the network of people who are all self-interested. So then there's no way of, very hard to trick the system. So that we don't rely on banks who lies about money is the idea. But there's a inconvenience and speed issue where you start to centralize everything in order to make it happen, and suddenly we have banks again. Chris says, but software engineers as a job is 6 months from being gone and has been for like 3 years now. Yeah, exactly. Communist says, hey, it's cool. Just frustrating to see everyone buying into character prediction as some transcendental AGI when we know it's all BS. Yeah. Yeah. It's all like, it's funny because like it bothers me a lot that like arguably like my career path in software engineering, I've hit pretty close to peak. Like I didn't peak, but I would say I had a career path that most people would say you should probably know what you're talking about a little bit in this space. Yet when I talk to my parents, they're like really worried about whole like AI. I should find some other career path and stuff like that. I'm like, hey, like it's not. I'm not just saying this. I'm not just hopium saying this because I feel insecure about my job security. Like I actually know people, and I talk about this in this term. Oh man, general public are very convinced. So we'll see. It's interesting, I would say. All right, hold on. Is this all the things we need? I mean, I need to do kind of detailed descriptions here. And then I probably need to organize the shops here a little bit. But some effect. I think the character building I was thinking about, like level 1 is going to have some sort of like, what did I call it? The affinity. A level 2, like the crew role, and then level 3 probably is where you start going to hockey unlock. By level 3, I think is going to be like where you start to unlock your hockey. And then I think devil fruit, once people consume devil fruit, I don't know. It's like devil fruit is like a little bit really powerful, so I don't know how I'm going to do that. Anyways, NT says, hold up, maybe OpenAI is PsyOps to use up all the GPUs so we can't run blockchains. Hello. They said, oh, this is how we undo cryptocurrency. You know what's funny? Because if you do pull resource from the GPU resources that are doing the mining away, right? The potential resources that would have made the transaction fee cheap and discover mine new Bitcoin faster, it makes it less available, which makes it more expensive? No? Isn't that the case? So now we have limited resources of RAMs and GPUs. So let's say we're splitting the GPU resources. Let's say we have 100 of them. And some of them are used for cryptocurrency mining and transactions, and some of them are used for AI. You can't do both. You have to choose. Let's say if we're choosing to use more of those resources on AI, then you're pulling away from the potential mining processing, which makes the mining process slower, which makes it more unusable. Yet that also means it makes it rarer. So does that make it more expensive or cheap? I don't know. It's something to think about, I think. Because have you seen the price of RAM skyrocket? It's crazy. I didn't see that actually. Why is that happening? Is it related to AI? Chuck says, how's AI going to solve everyone's problem when Cloudflare? That's what I'm saying. You know what's funny? I mean, the people are talking about like a local AI, but that will not work because the model would get outdated so quickly. At the same time, the effective models are usually smaller. All these like bigger and bigger models is actually like undoing the work that they've been doing. It was the AI was in its best shape, I think, when the model was smaller. I think the research is kind of supporting that, but we'll see. Who cares? It doesn't matter. The companies just need to say we have bigger model and it's more accurate. That's all they need to say in order for it to go up, 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 up. Until they go, wait, I thought it was like 99.9999%. How is it better and still not 100%? I was like, well. Because says, yeah, because people are using RAM to store context windows, I think. It's to store something since GPUs don't have 300 gigabytes. See. But yeah, funny times. People love hype cycle. We'll see when it comes down. I'm betting pretty heavily on it. People are realizing, I think, slowly. It's been 3 years. We'll see. All right. Excuse me. I think this is a good stopping point. Well, have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I'm going to raid out here today. I usually do Monday, Wednesday, Friday streaming. So if you're watching me for the first time, if you found me, if you just found me, you like my stuff. If you like to see me do other things other than Plant TTRPG, you can follow along. Join Discord. I have a merch line coming up soon called 99% Burnt Out. That's the brand. I'm sure you'll love it. Follow along and buy it when it gets released. I'm thinking within a month it'll be released. Chuck says, have a great Thanksgiving. Sussy says, play as Godzilla. That sounds all amazing. Anti-Community says, I'm just playing. Was nice to meet you. Yeah, thanks. Wait, hold on. Prediction. In about 24 months, GPU data centers will be regulated due to climate concerns, which will also cover anything capable of running blockchains. Mission complete. Long game. Oh my gosh. Who knows? There's a little bit of controversy and a little bit of truth. So he says, Godzilla is the GOAT. It really is. Godzilla is the GOAT. Mikori says, you forgot to read this. What? I don't think it'll change too much since OpenAI pays NVIDIA, who then funds OpenAI, then Circle continues. I mean, you know, we talk like this is new. This has always been the case. And that's why we go through the cycle of like economy crashing and up and up, crashing and up. At some point, we run out of money to print, so we'll see. Kelso said, I think you have Clip Studio EX. Why are you using Krita now? This is not me. This is Hypnotic using Krita. I love Clip Studio. All right, we're gonna raid out. Sorry, Kelso, if you were just getting here. Thanks for watching. Thanks to everyone for the support. I'll see you on Friday. Otherwise, next Monday. We'll see. No promises. Bye. Okay. Once I say bye here, I'm gonna say bye to YouTube here. YouTube, you guys are lucky. You get to see me for 2 whole minutes more, or 30 seconds, I guess. All right.